start is what does it mean for you guys to be able to host this regional here at PK Park, first time since 2012?
It's special. I mean, I know they've got a lot of things planned. They've got, a big fan fest out there, in the parking lot, kind of like similar to a football tailgate. They've got things where they'd be giving away season tickets for next year at 25% off. And they've already sold the thing out. I think they sold it out in less than an hour or so. And so the fan interest in the community, what that means for us is that it's awesome to see that the local community really wants this and is really rallying around the team at a time where it's a pretty special time. So what it means is that the program's going in the right direction, and it's, we've been able to advance out of that regional round and the super regional round, and we're looking to take one more step now.
The demand for tickets was obviously very palpable. Are there other ways you've sensed just sort of the energy around the community, the attention that has focused on you guys?
I don't really know. I know there's a good buzz, and there's a lot of outreach and stuff like that, but I don't know. My head's been kind of buried in trying to get prepared. So
when you've spent so many years here, both as the assistant and now as head coach, to have been here the first time there was a super, to do this, to know what goes into the build from the beginning years of when the program got reinstated to now, what is that, the culmination of it all mean, was that when you were here the first time, that it took this long to get back to do it again and to be on the precipice of reaching the ultimate goal?
Well, I think first off, it's hard. I think that's one thing that it says is it's not easy to get to Omaha. It's not easy to get to super regionals. It's not easy to get to the regionals. And so to be able to do that now on a consistent basis, we've only been here for 3 years, and we've been able to get to postseason play now 3 years in a row, and this will be a super regional in year 3, really, the third full year. It's good. We're in the right direction. Perspective on what it means, grand scheme of things, I don't really know. Again, we're just trying to get prepared for the weekend and put our best product out there on the field for a packed house.
One thing that's been key for you guys is kind of that single elimination mentality you've played with the last few weeks. There is potential for that to come some pressure, and I wonder how much of a key Riku and just the joy he plays with has been in not letting pressure get to be too much, so that you have your backs against the wall, but you also kind of that joy for the game is something you have to have too. How much does Riku help set a tone that way?
Riku's tone is amazing, and I don't, in terms of the pressure and stuff like that, I mean, we talk about it a lot. When we're driving through these cities nowadays and we're seeing people on the streets and stuff like that, that's pressure to figure out where you're going to get a meal from and all that. What we do is play baseball, so that's not really pressure. For Riku, is personally neatest kid maybe ever that I've coached. Just as a person, he's got a great spirit to him. He came off of a Christmas break where his mother passed away in Japan. He plays with such a genuine care for his people around him, the coaches, his teammates. He's just neat. He wants others to enjoy this maybe even more than himself. He's a selfless kid, and he's really one heck of a player.
Plus, you guys have kind of cut down your pitching staff here from 8 to 10 guys, and through the Pac-12 tournament, through the Nashville regional. Just how has that group kind of come together and with their backs to the wall, pitched in these performances, unlike they have all season long?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. You got to credit Coach Angier for guiding him. But we just kind of told him what it was like, and we just were honest with him, probably more honest than a lot of people told us we could be or should be with our team. And we were just very candid with him and told him, look, if you want to have your year up on that wall for your friends and family to see from here on out, that's up to you. And if you don't, that's on you. And that's on us as coaches, players, everybody. And so we're all a reflection of the 2023 team. If those numbers aren't on that wall, that means we all didn't get it done. And I don't want to see that down the road, and neither did they, obviously, because the pitching staff and the players came together and united in a way that has been spectacular. So specifically the pitching, they've thrown the ball well. We saw that in spurts throughout the year, and then we saw good and bad, but I think that's what you usually see with an inexperienced young group. And what they're doing is getting old at the right time of year.
You coached a lot of teams. What do you think about this team makes them unique enough to be in this position and make history?
Oh, I don't know. They won games at the right time, I guess, is what that tells me about them. They won a lot of games at the right time. They were able to, the Vanderbilt regional was really intense, especially the game against Vanderbilt. It was a packed house, and there were times in that game where it could have gotten away from us, and our guys collected themselves and had the poise to be able to make pitches and have good at-bats. And so, the talent that was on the field that night for Vanderbilt that we had to beat was extreme. It was extremely good. And for the kids to be able to go through that, I don't think anybody picked us to win that. I don't think anybody picked us to be in this position. The back against the wall kind of thing is real. And, it's still a deal where our backs are against the wall. We've still got plenty of people who don't believe that we should be here or whatever. And that's great. That's something that we get a chance to prove that we do belong. And not only did we belong, but, like Jacob Wall said after, I believe it was the first game of the Pac-12 tournament, we're here to win this thing. We're here to win this tournament. And, that was the first tournament. This is the second tournament. And those are the same words that I bet Jacob would say today.
Is there an update on Isaac Aon or Jay Stoffel and their availability for this weekend?
That's a great question. I don't know. We haven't, been out on the field yet today, and so I'll know that later this afternoon.
Sabine Ceballos played some really good defense at third base, especially that play of the bases loaded. Just how impressive is that for him? A guy who's drafted as a catcher to play such stellar defense there at third base.
Sports Center type play for us to get through that inning, and that basically won the game for us, I'd say. There were other pieces that helped as well, but that play was as good as you'll see. He's just, he's along the lines of Riku. He's a really neat kid, cares so much. He has the poise. He kind of plays passionate and old, and on a team that's got a lot of young guys that's really well needed.
You had to pare down the pitching staff by both choice and necessity was. How impactful, how important was it that you have a lot of guys who don't get hit hard? I mean, which is like, yes, obviously in baseball you prefer not to, but some of it, like I say, wasn't by choice, it was by necessity. And if you had to rely on guys who were giving up a whole bunch of long balls or extra base hits, that'd be a harder thing. But the group that you're relying on all season really doesn't get hit very hard, doesn't give up a lot of extra base hits. Just how valuable is that when you've had to rely on this collection of guys?
Well, I love this collection of guys, and so I don't think we've pared anything down. We've got everybody on our roster that's healthy, that can pitch, is available to pitch, and I feel comfortable using every one of those young guys. I love them. I think they've played with their hearts and they've come together at the right time. The fact that they do or don't get hit hard or all that kind of stuff, I don't know. I just want them to be effective and keep getting better every day. We've just asked them to improve, and that's all we've asked them to do. We haven't asked them to throw shutouts or any of that kind of stuff. We just said, look, all we want you to do is get better every single day you're here. That's all we've asked them from the start, and they've bought into that.
And Grayson in particular, what have you seen with him kind of click these last few weeks when he's given you some huge innings at the regional?
Well, Grayson's been good all year. We just use him in a different capacity now recently, and we've started him a couple of times. And all year long, though, Grayson's been a guy that we went to in really high leverage situations, and he's stepped up. Why did we start him at the end of the year and all that? Just because he's been really good. And so I don't know, that may be the paring down of the pitching, I guess. I've never thought of it that way. We just are pitching the guys that have pitched the best and deserve the ball and trying to win games. That's about it.
Through this postseason run, what have you learned about this team that you didn't necessarily see during the regular season?
What did I learn about the team?
Yeah, through this postseason run.
That they love playing. I knew they'd love playing together, but these guys just really enjoy being around each other a lot. Play for one another. Tanner Smith, Gavin Grant's glue the whole thing. Him and Colby Shade, Tanner Smith, these guys, their uniting power is awesome. And so what I've learned is that these guys flat out just want this for the community at a level that's hard to explain.
What is it about Gavin that allows him to be that way, Ross? Because it's a cliche for us that seniors, they default to leaders, or the best players, they default to leaders. And yes, he is a senior, but he's your 9-hitter. He's a great defensive player, no doubt. But he's not the leading hitter. He's got the lowest average of regular starters. So what is it about him where there are times where guys would say, if you don't have success, it's hard to be that voiceful guy. He's successful, but in a relative sense, he's not a 320 hitter popping 20 homers. So What is it about him that allows him to be a capable voice that can speak but can also be heard?
Baseball's a game that's not played on a stat sheet. And it is for Hall of Fame votes maybe, but it isn't for locker rooms and championships. And Gavin Grant's a guy that unites a locker room to be able to win a championship. And without a guy like Gavin Grant, you won't win a championship. Regardless of how good your statistical players are on your stat sheet, you have to have guys like Gavin Grant and Colby Shade and Drew Calley, but specifically Gavin. You have to have a guy like that to be able to keep the locker room where it needs to be focused and directed and playing together to where it's just the glue guy. Gavin's role on this team, sure, he hits ninth in his stats or whatever his stats are, and his defensive play is whatever his defensive play is. Those things are, he adds value to all those things. But the biggest piece that he adds value on, it can't be seen on a piece of paper. It's seen by his teammates, and I guess that's my answer to your question. Is his glue piece to this whole thing is at a value where nobody else can match it.
Colby Shade didn't start last game. Any updates on his status?
No, I don't have anything. Again, not until I get out to the field today.
I know you guys have only been on.
He did play though in the last game.
Right. I know you guys have only been in Eugene for 24 hours at this point, but just what have you heard? What have you seen from Oral Roberts, at least just in a preliminary aspect? Coming here with a 21-game winning streak, they won Summit League that they play in. They beat the Stillwater Regional. So, just what have you seen from them?
Well, they lost one game in their league. They have the best defensive team statistically on a piece of paper in the country. And, they rolled through a really difficult regional. I think Dallas Baptist, Oklahoma State, and Washington are all three very good clubs. We're familiar with the one club, and we watched the other two clubs. What we've seen now is every game that they've played on tape and every bat or pitch they've thrown. So we're very familiar with the team, and they're good.
What makes their lead hitter, Jonah Cox, I mean, he's one of the top hitters in the country at 424. But everybody goes into a game trying to plan not to allow him to do what he does. How does he keep doing it?
Their best hitter is a heck of a player, and he's athletic. He's big, strong, physical. He can do it all on a baseball field. And so, the people of Eugene will see a treat. Hopefully won't see his best version of himself, but still yet. He's one heck of a player. He's tooled up, professional prospect, plays center field for him. He's really good.
Coach, there's the whole historical context of this, but for some guys on your team, guys like Tanner Smith that have been around long enough to see this program in different states, how much does it mean to you to see those guys get to host something as urgent as a super regional for the chance to go to the World Series at PK?
That's why he came back. It's why you go to college. And it's been the calls that we've been on since we won the regional is having our recruits, making sure that they understand why they need to be at these games. So when they have a professional decision in front of them, it's awesome to be able to sign professionally and all that, but they're not going to have the ability to experience what they experience in college baseball during postseason play. And for those guys, when they're levying their decision on whether to sign pro or not, they have to understand what they're skipping. And they'll never be able to get this in professional baseball, even at the major league level. And so the excitement, enthusiasm, you're talking about community stuff. You're talking about deeper stuff because it's college athletics. There's a passion. Oregon passion for Oregon fans is unique and different. I don't know, for us, it's an opportunity for these guys. It's the reason why they came back to school. It's why they didn't sign their pro contracts for, offers from professional scouts before this year. And now they get the opportunity to do that, and they'll see an absolutely packed PK Park with people going crazy and a home field advantage that they definitely saw as a vision, but now it's going to come to reality.
Their left-handed starter got tagged pretty good in the regional. Anything that you pick up on there as to how their teams are able to attack him a little bit more successfully this past weekend that some teams in the Summit League maybe weren't able to?
Washington can hit. They're good. Sorry, Duck fans, but Washington was a good team. So they could hit, and they got to them. They got some other guys too. It's not their bullpen is thick. They've got a right-hander at the very back end of the bullpen that's 95 to 98 miles an hour with a nasty slider. They got a sidearm lefty that comes out of the bullpen in the 6th or 7th inning that's going to throw the ball 92 to 95, and he's going to be a high draft. There's a couple other pieces in their bullpen that are really, really good. Their starting pitching is steady, and they throw the ball over the plate. These guys, these guys are good. And their lineup is basically all juniors, seniors, and 24 to 26-year-old guys. So this is not a walk in the park type of a setup. And when these guys went through the Stillwater Regional and beat those three teams, they're good. They're the real deal.
Anything that you guys did specifically to adjust offensively during this streak was, because over the 9 games, I think you're hitting north of 350. And if you take off the first 3 against non-postseason teams, I think you're still hitting north of 310, 312. Anything that's been done to make the collective that much better amid this hot stretch?
Yeah, I mean, we just have tried to connect with our players and just build our relationships better with those guys and make sure that they knew that, maybe there was a time where they were struggling, and when they were struggling, we're still with you.
You said that there were a lot of people that didn't think that you guys would be here. There might even be more people that think that Oral Roberts wouldn't be here. How do you feel about going up against another team that's just as much of an underdog as you are?
Well, the people in the Midwest sure don't think Oral Roberts is an underdog. Those people talk really highly of him. The people on the West Coast, Stanford and us were ranked pretty high on the West Coast, pre-regional type stuff. The bottom line is this is just 2 good baseball teams that have earned the right to be in this thing. And, whoever was picked to do what, there's a lot of teams that were picked to do a lot of things this year that are, now on summer vacation. So, we're not on summer vacation, and boy, we're going to try to make sure we're not on summer vacation for a few more weeks now.
Any idea of the rotation for this weekend?
No.
Turnus Woljeric has come up with some big innings for you guys. Just what have you seen from him? Especially, it seems like he has the ability to really bounce back when things might go his way in an inning.
He's just been a tough kid, I think it's probably a deal where Paul, his dad, brought him up right and made him tough. I don't know. He's a tough kid. He's making pitches, and he's an awesome guy to be able to give the ball to. He's been doing great.